Elon Musk has announced a $35,000 Model 3. Well, sort of. So it's been all over the Tesla buzz internet the last 24 hours that Elon Musk had announced a mid-range battery for the Tesla Model 3. And the first thing that came to mind for me was that it was still a long-range battery with software restrictions. However, Elon Musk had actually addressed someone's question about that, and I'm just reading it from his Twitter feed here. It's a long-range battery with fewer cells. The non-cell portion of the pack is disproportionately high, but we can get it done now instead of around February. So again, this is big news because I think that there are a lot of people who are still on the fence about paying at least base $49,000 for a car. And I know from experience that all it takes is upwards of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and you're like, you know what? This is going to be much more doable for me. So I think this is going to bring out a lot more people who were thinking they just couldn't quite manage that payment. And I think this is what's going to kind of put it over the edge for a lot of people. However, that being said, there are still going to be those people who still want that base $35,000 car, of course, before the tax incentives. And that is still in the works, still saying about 4 to 6 months before you actually get your $35,000 car. And that's still not guaranteed at this point. So let's take you right to Tesla.com and kind of take a little tour of what we can expect here as we order a Tesla Model 3 now. And of course, when you go to the page. So you go to the home page here, go to Tesla.com, and it starts with the Model S. But now we're on the Model 3 page. We'll go straight to Order Now. And when you go straight to Order Now, what it does, and again, it's a little deceptive because the prices that you see there are starting off with the tax incentives and on top of that, the gas savings. So don't be fooled immediately when you look at that because you're thinking, wow, look how much cheaper it is. No, that's not the case. So we're just going to start with no add-ons here. We're just going to click on rear wheel drive. It says it gets 260 miles range with 125 mile top speed in 5.6 seconds from 0 to 60. Not bad. Then you click, oh, by the way, too, and this is kind of exciting news, is it's delivery in 6 to 10 weeks. So the faster you order one, the quicker you get on this, the better chance you have of still getting on that full federal tax rebate on that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Selecting a color, again, we'll go with the solid black because we don't want to go with any incentives here. We'll go with the Aero wheels. We'll click next. We will not include a white interior, which, by the way, is kind of interesting news. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are early adapters or early people who ordered early who would have loved to have gotten that white interior. And they may be a little kind of upset about that. But, you know, that's some of the risk you take, I guess, if you get on board early. For me, I don't need the white interior. I'm perfectly happy with what I've got right now. All right, so again, we'll just go with the all black interior, and we will not include enhanced autopilot because again, we're just trying to see what the base price is going to be. So here it is, your Model 3 summary, Model 3 mid-range, rear-wheel drive, solid black paint, 18-inch Aero wheels, all black premium interior, which by the way, you still have to do. You don't have the option. So price after estimated savings, again, don't pay attention to that. Here's your purchase price. This is the price you have to pay because you cannot, you have to finance the $45,000 plus taxes and fees on top of that. So you're going to be closer to the upper 40 to around $50,000 once you kind of get out the door with all of that. So that is the base price at this point. Now, things will get a lot more expensive. Let's take it back a couple of pages here. And let's say you want to go with more of the midnight silver metallic. Well, that's going to cost you an extra $1,500. The blue, $1,500. The white, $2,000. And the red is going to cost you $2,500. So let's go with, I don't know, white. White seems to be a popular color. So you're going to go with white now. And we'll keep the arrow wheels because, again, you're going to want to kind of save some money here. And we'll go with an all black interior. And no, let's go ahead and add the white and see what happens when you add the white. That's going to add another $1,000. And let's go ahead and select Enhanced Autopilot. A lot of people like that. But again, maybe we're going to be a little chintzy here. So now the price goes up to $48,000. So again, you can clearly see how quickly that price goes up. So if you want a $45,000 car, you're going to have to go with black. You're going to have to go with no upgrades whatsoever. And if that's something you have to do, then that's something you have to do. But again, add another $5,000 for the enhanced autopilot. So another thing that's interesting about this enhanced autopilot page is you'll notice that full self-driving is no longer an option. And so there are a lot of people wondering why that is the case. Is the technology moving backwards? Is it taking longer than they had anticipated? So it's kind of interesting. But according to what Elon Musk has said on Twitter, is he said that will be available off menu for a week. He says it was just causing too much confusion. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I guess if you are dead set on getting the full self-driving option, which you can't even use, by the way, but if you're dead set on getting that, then I guess you have a week to go ahead and order that off menu, which I would assume you have to call in to do something like that. Okay, and another thing that's kind of interesting is we take it back to the front page of Tesla. Let's take it back to the first page. So all the options are rear-wheel drive, mid-range battery, the long-range battery, all-wheel drive, and then the performance all-wheel drive long-range battery as well. Now you'll notice that there is no longer a rear-wheel drive long-range battery. However, according to Elon, he says that the Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive is still available for ordering off menu for another week or so. So it looks like he has decided to go ahead and extend that as well. So I think he's just kind of giving advanced warnings like, hey, listen, if you're on the fence about the long range, you still have a week or so to go ahead and get that order in. But right now, his focus on the rear-wheel drive, at least, is going to be the mid-range here for quite a while. Now, a lot of people have also said, well, I prefer really the all-wheel drive. But it's kind of interesting what he also said on Twitter is that the Tesla rear-wheel drive cars do actually work well on snow and ice. We did our traction testing on an ice lake. Dual motor all-wheel is great, but not required for cold weather. Just don't use sport or summer tires. So I found that kind of interesting. I think that was kind of his way of saying, hey, listen, I know for those of you who can't really afford the Tesla, that this mid-range may be what kind of helps get you behind the wheel. So don't worry about if you live in a cold climate where there's snow, because he says apparently the rear-wheel drive performs just fine in the snow. Okay, so let's say you're one of those people who is now saying, you know what, now that the price has dropped, I can actually afford this car. This is going to be fantastic. This is great. I think I want to do it. However, I may have a little reservation about the fact that it's a mid-range battery. Is 260 miles of charge on a full charge enough? And I'm going to answer that question quickly for you. Yes, it's more than enough still. Keep in mind, too, that's still more than the Chevy Bolt and many of the other new cars that will be coming out here within the next 6 to 12 months. So, yes, 260 miles is fine. And here's an example I want to show you or kind of tell you about. Is I took this car on a long-range trip from here, or from Northern California to Central Texas. And that was a little over 2,000 miles each way, so 4,000 miles total. And I noticed that I typically, between charges, averaged around 200 miles between charges is when I typically did. And kind of another thing to keep in mind is that when you are going on these long trips, you're not always charging to 100%. In fact, it charges up to about 60 to 70% very quickly in a matter of 20 minutes, 30 minutes. After that, it starts dropping significantly to protect the battery. So that can, of course, is also going to be said for the mid-range battery as well, that once you get up to 60 or 70%, that's going to drop as well. So you're not going to get as much out of the charge because you're going to have to wait over an hour to get a full charge if that's something you want to do at the supercharger. So again, to kind of answer that question, yes, 260-mile range for the mid-range battery is fine. I think you're going to be happy with that. To kind of reiterate the fact that 260-mile range is going to be plenty, Tesla actually has a great website you can go to see where you're going to have to charge on your trip. So let's go and take a look at that website. Okay, so what I've done here to kind of give you an example of my trip, we're going to take it from Sacramento all the way to Austin, Texas. And what I've done is I've plugged in, and what you do is you tell it where you're going, and then you tell it the car that you have. So the best car on here right now that represents the mid-range Model 3 is the Model S 75D, because that gets on a full charge 259 miles per charge. So this is going to give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at. And as I count the superchargers from Sacramento to Austin, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 chargers. So you're going to have to charge or go to a supercharger 17 times. And that's how many it takes. Now this is where I find it interesting. I'm going to take it now down to the long range battery, which is what I've got, the Model 3. I'm going to go ahead and toggle that. I'm going to push done. It's going to recalculate. Now what I'm noticing is that the trip planner now wants to take me through southern Oregon and southern New Mexico as opposed to central Arizona and central New Mexico. Kind of interesting. But anyway, as I count the superchargers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 charging stations. So that is 3 less. So you are going to have to probably stop more and charge because of the shorter range. That being said, I wouldn't be concerned about that because bottom line, this is still going to be a car. The mid-range Model 3 is still going to be a car that you're going to be able to do long road trips on. Okay, so I've hopefully proven to you that a 260-mile range battery is still plenty, and that is going to be just fine. And maybe you're still on the fence a little bit, but here's the thing. If you are on the fence, you probably need to get off that fence here pretty quickly. The reason being is by January 1st, the federal tax rebate is going to be dropped by half, by 50%. So $7,500 tax incentive, that's pretty good. And you want to get on board because as of right now, what Tesla is estimating is that it will take 6 to 10 weeks to get your car. So that's getting close to the end of the year. So I would highly recommend, if you're on the fence on this, that you try to get off that fence as soon as you can because you're going to want to utilize that tax incentive pretty quickly. I do want to make it clear that I do understand that this is still a big purchase. $45,000 car is still an expensive car. And even for me, like I say, this car that I have right now is still is a stretch for me. And it's once I get my tax incentive, it's going to make my car payment much more affordable. But for now, I'm just kind of sucking it up with the car payments that I have now. And then once I can refinance with my tax incentives, it's going to be a much more comfortable car payment. So just kind of keep that in mind, is take a look at what your payments are going to be initially at $45,000 car, plus of course tax, title, and license, what that's going to be. And then figure on refinancing if that's something you want to do, and then check out to see what your car payments will be afterwards. And if those car payments on the second half after you refinance are much more affordable and something you can do, then I would highly recommend just trying to figure out a way to get those car payments until tax season. because once you get that check, you're going to be back into that more affordable car payment. So that is the latest and greatest from Tesla. They have made some big changes to their website as far as the ordering process, the overall cost of now the least expensive Model 3 that you can get down to $45,000, and that will take 6 to 10 weeks to get. That is an exciting amount of time. That's a pretty short period of time. And for those of you who are still holding out for the $35,000 car, still no guarantees, I guess, but based on their website, it's going to be about 3 to 6 months before they're going to be able to offer up the $35,000 base car. Of course, that's before the tax incentives, which, of course, as you know, will not be the full federal tax rebate. So what do you think about Tesla's changes to their website and the ordering process? Are you happy about the fact that they've offered up this mid-range battery? Are you one of those people who can now afford the Tesla Model 3, that's all it took was that $4,000 drop? Or are you one of those people like me who already has the car? What do you think about the fact that there are a few options, or at least that one option with the white interior? Did you want that initially? Did you not want it? Do you not care? I'll be curious to hear what everybody has to say about these latest developments from Tesla. And by the way, if you haven't ordered your Tesla Model 3 just yet and you're thinking about going online and doing that, and maybe I even helped sway you in that direction, do me a favor. Go ahead and use my referral code. I haven't done that yet. I haven't pushed that yet, but it's kind of a win-win situation. You get to save yourself $100, and I get some incentives as well. So I'll put that referral code on the screen there so you know where to use it. And be sure to also like this video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I guess do a thumbs down, right? I mean, it's a free country, right? And also, if you like some of the videos that I've done in the past, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to get more and more people. I want to see how this channel can develop here, because I plan on doing a lot more videos that are more informational. And of course, you can check out some of my other past videos as well. So until my next video, stay safe.